All right. Well, thank you so much. I am here with Linda Roman and John Ryan from the Kraft Heinz company, and we're talking about sustainable packaging. We're live from Packaging Europe, the Sustainable Packaging Summit. If you could both introduce yourselves and speak just a little bit about what you do, that would be wonderful.
Sure. Linda Roman. I've been with Kraft Heinz combined over 20 years, and today my team focuses on packaging based in North America, and we identify technology unlocks and partnerships across the entire value chain to hit against our business strategies and growth and ESG.
Wonderful. You do a great job. I know that. We've met before many times.
Yes, we have.
And I'm John Ryan, so I'm the R&D Packaging Director for our international business. And our international business is everywhere apart from North America. The tasks that we do within my team range from everything from NPD to installation commissioning of production facilities and lines, and most importantly, of course, ESG, or environmental governance, social governance.
Right.
And our teams work so collaboratively together to not duplicate efforts, but really complement.
I think that's one of the secrets of our success.
Yeah.
Absolutely, without a doubt, is our collaboration. We've got an amazing partner in Linda and Linda's entire team. And you absolutely hit it right, nail on the head. And as we conquer and divide, and we absolutely frown upon duplication.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest part. So I know we're jumping off on this, but when we think about collaboration and partnership, a lot of times we talk about it externally, but for us it's also about internally. You have some of the large CPG companies and there's so many people, it's hard to really connect internally, and that's one of the big things that we work hard to do, make sure our teams are doing, so we can capitalize on the synergies and learnings that we can get across, so it's tremendous.
Yeah.
Well, I can attest that my family enjoys Kraft mac and cheese and Heinz ketchup all in the same meal.
Yeah.
So we collaborate with your products already.
That's great.
I did see something the other day from your company that I thought was very strange. It was a clear bottle of ketchup. Is that real?
Yeah.
Wow. Tell me about that. What is that about, and how did that come to be?
I think our commercial colleagues came up with a concept through the transparency, because we're very much about transparency. The first packaging actually that Henry J. Heinz that launched into the market was a glass jar for horseradish. And his reason behind that was transparency. He wanted to show the purity of the product and also the quality of the product.
Amazing.
And that's the idea behind it from a commercial point of view too. And it's to instigate the conversations around.
Yeah. It was very shocking to see it. You think of ketchup, you think it's red. So that was really cool to watch. So well done. You're certainly getting some attention in the market. But we had a couple things that you wanted to speak to. Do you want to focus on those first?
Yeah, I think as we talk about collaboration, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
So Tim Sykes and team that really set this up was, how do we make sure we're bringing people from across the value chain together to really talk about the challenges that they have and the opportunities and ways to collaborate. And the one thing about sustainability, and every year we continue to ramp up the game, which is collaborating more and more. Like we just talked about it internally, but externally, how are we connecting with other CPGs that may have similar challenges as us in the same arena, right? How are we connecting with industry associations? And I think it was really heartening to see APR and Recyclass together, and they'll be presenting tomorrow, because the biggest challenge for us is around consistency and that we're all going towards the same target. So being able to identify what the definition of recyclability is today, that's going to evolve and be consistent for the next 5, 10, 20 years, is contingent upon industry collaboration and consensus. And I think that's exciting to see all this come together for that.
I completely agree. It's impossible for Kraft Heinz to do it by themselves. It's impossible for one company to do it by themselves. That's where we have to come together. And it's a joint discussion on what we move towards, but also infrastructure. Infrastructure is a big conversation that we really need to have. I saw a very shocking slide a couple of days ago from one of my team members that showed that only 6 countries in Europe recycle plastic at scale.
Wow.
That's quite disheartening when we said these are the conversations that we all need to have together.
Yeah. Incredible. Remember the first time we talked about reusable bottles for ketchup, your glass bottles were the only thing you had to change was the adhesive on the label to make it all of a sudden reusable. Is that going to scale, or how is that going?
We're actually continuing to pilot, and we piloted it in the UK, we keep piloting in the US, and we continue to look at ways to identify other opportunities in the refill arena or reuse arena.
Excellent.
I think for reuse, I think the biggest opportunity for us all is to bring the consumer on the journey.
Yes.
And that's the most important thing. The consumer has to be part of our journey, because they're the ones who are going to interact. They're the ones who are changing their shopping style too. And what I think we've done, and I don't mean just Kraft Heinz by ourselves, but I think as industry, we focused on what it is for us. We need to change the focus, or switch the focus towards consumers more so, and really bring them on the journey and tell them about it, inform them why we're doing this.
Right.
Because I saw P&G this morning get up and talk about how they've done a refill pouch, and it wasn't so successful because the consumer expected a cost price impact much greater than they actually received. Now, without the consumer understanding what it is that we're trying to do, and then going for a cost saving, muddies the waters.
Right.
It brings unclarity to the topic itself. And that's where we need to go out and talk why we have our patch, why we're refilling, how this impacts our planet, in language that the consumer understands.
Right. You're asking people to change the way they behave.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that is such a big task. And you're asking them to reform habits that they've had for their whole lives, and ways of doing things that they've watched their parents do and have adopted, probably, right?
They have to understand what's the benefit for them,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's hard to make that connection, and that's something we have to probably do more work to help communicate in the future. So that one, it's a journey. This whole effort is a journey, but if you think about it, some of them are a little bit longer. We have to figure out a lot on the way, and so that's what we're trying to do.
Excellent. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
I would love to see us coming together as industry to support legislation.
Yes.
I feel when in relation to legislation, a lot of legislation out there is not based on science-based facts. And this is where industry needs to step up and really be part of because we want to drive legislation. PPWR is a great example. There's an awful lot of really good stuff in there.
Yes.
We need to take all those golden nuggets and take them together. But there is also some stuff in there that's questionable. And that's where we need to come together to be one voice. And that's industry and legislators as one voice.
Well said. And that's been a real disconnect, hasn't it? The industry and the government not connecting. And maybe the third branch there is the consumer saying, hey, what about us? Think about us too while you're making all these new rules, right?
We've a mantra within Kraft Heinz, and that is consumer first.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do. We have to think that way.
Well said.